Welcome to part 5 of using Kong and Reason. Let's go ahead and get started. In this video, we are going to be talking about the Nurse Rex loop player. So I'm going to F6 and maximize the rack. Let's drag a Kong in. I'll F3 and minimize the browser. And click the arrow here to show our drum and effects section. And actually, I want to go back to the browser. We can just click the drop down arrow here and choose a Nurse Rex loop player. Then you can click the browse button and our browser will open, and we can navigate. If this were still on the physical bass drum here, you can still come to the Reason Factory sound bank and come to, say, Dr. Rex drum loops. Grab a loop and drag it on to the pad, and then the Nurse Rex will also load. So you have a couple different options. You can also select a Rex file there, and actually that will create the Dr. Octo Rex. Maybe that's because our browse button wasn't selected. Let me see. Let's just delete that out and be sure our browse loop is selected. Okay, then we'll select that same one and click load. And there we are. I will lower the tempo by hitting the minus key on my numeric keypad. Let's take that down to, say, 90. Actually, I want 85. And so that's loading your Rex files into the pads. You can drag it or click the load. Just being sure that you're in browse. You've got the browse button highlighted here. So when working with Rex loops, the first thing to be aware of is that you have several different hit types here, and this will control what is played back from the loop that you've loaded. So we have loop trig currently selected. Then you've got chunk trig, slice trig, and stop. If you have the same Nurse Rex module assigned to several different pads, then you can use the quick edit mode here. Let's just go ahead and assign this one to, we'll choose 1 because that's our Nurse Rex. You can see the pads are labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, sequentially all the way up to 16, but in the upper left hand corner, that's then going to display the module that you're using or the drum channel. So we want to put the Nurse Rex on each of these bottom 4 for this video. We'll change that to 1, and we'll change that to 1 as well. Now, a quicker way to make these assignments is by clicking the quick edit button, and then you can come in and say you could change every single pad in here if you wanted to that quickly to the Nurse Rex. You see they're now on this number 1 module. So let's then look at the hit types in detail. Loop trig will play back the complete loop. When you're using loop trig, you can adjust how much of the loop is played back, and you do that by dragging these handles on the ruler here. So I'm just going to drag to the right. I'll come to the other end and move that in. Make that really small just to make it clear what's going on. You can also adjust these by clicking and dragging up and down in the start and end boxes here. The numbers correspond to the slices. So this is slice 9. We're on slice 9, and it ends at slice 14. So if I go all the way to the beginning, you see that's slice 1. So now that we've changed the borders for this loop as to what we'll play, okay, and so it's going to be the same for each of these because we're all using the same module. And I'm just going to go ahead and move these back to their original positions. Now, when you're working in here, if you make some adjustments and you like to quickly set it back as it was, just hold down Control and click. That would be Command for the Mac. And that will get you there. So then let's take a look at chunks. So if I set this one, I've got pad 1 selected, we'll change that to chunk. You see this now changes to pad 1. So if I put that in loop, no chunk trigs assigned. I change pad 1 to chunk. Let's change pad 2 to chunk. And if you notice, if you ever want to select a pad without triggering the sound, just click on the name below and the sound won't be played. So we've got pad 2 now assigned, and as you can see, the Nurse Rex will automatically set these chunks in equal sizes for whatever pad. So when you select pad 3 and change that to chunk, we're going to have thirds here then. It's pad 3, change that to chunk. See, we now have the 3. And pad 4 to chunk. And as you can see, these are labeled, so then you can see which slices will actually be played by which pad. So even though Reason makes these automatic spacings and assignments here, you can adjust these just by clicking on the border and then dragging left or right. It's very easy. You can also even resize all of these chunks. Essentially, you're changing the start and end, but if you drag in from left or right the markers, or again, you can use the start and end values up top to adjust. Now moving on to the next trigger, we have slice trig, and I'm going to put all of these 4 pads back to loop trig just for simplicity's sake. And the quick way to do that again is you go to quick edit, and then here we can just change 1, 1, 1, 1. We're changing the bottom 4 pads 1, 2, 3, 4 to hit type 1, which is loop trig. That's just a quick way. Before, this is another way you can come in and select 2 to change it. You see, as you select, it changes down below. But we want loop trig so that we can make what slice trig is as simple as possible. So we've got pad 1 selected. If I select slice trig, Reason will automatically choose the first slice. Whichever pad you have selected, it's just going to be the first one. And you should also know that you can have several pads on the hit type slice trig, but they can only play back that one slice that you've selected, or whatever several slices you've selected to play back alternatively. I hope that makes sense. We can do an example here. So by default, it's just going to play that slice 1. And when you're working with these slices, just note that if you have this orange area, that means that this slice is highlighted and active for adjusting the parameters. If I select this, you see that's now highlighted and you can adjust its parameters. This one is now highlighted and so on. Any slices that are set to be triggered in slice trig are going to be red. So just as we have this on slice trig, you hit it, it plays that first slice. And you can see that there's a check mark indicating that it's triggered. So if you'd like to choose multiple slices, just come to another slice and check on trig. We'll come to this last one, check on trig. So now when we press this pad, it's going to alternate between these three. And you can see that each one now is highlighted in red, indicating that they are set up to be triggered by slice trig. So let's go ahead and do that. So it's now alternating between these ones that we have set up. An even quicker way to select and deselect what will be triggered in slice trig is to hold down Control or Command and just click on it. See, we're now deselecting. Nothing's selected for trig, so if we hit that, there's nothing at all. Now I'll hold down Control, select a group of these. Now, if you click on each one of these, you see the trig is selected. So we've done that just by holding Control and clicking. Now when we play back, and to make clear the point that I was making earlier, if I come over and choose pad 4 and change, this is on loop trig, so that's still going to play back the whole loop. But if I change this to slice trig, it's going to play the same thing that we set up in the other one. So if I hold Control and deselect all of these, see, the changes that I made here are then going to be reflected on pad 1 as well. So just know that when you're using slice trig, no matter how many pads you have it on, whatever slices you set up to trigger is going to be the same for each one. And the last trigger that we have is stop. So in our first pad here, we've got loop trig on to play back the whole loop. The second, we're using a chunk trig. That's pad 2. We're playing that area. Pad 3, you can see labeled pad 3. We're playing that area. The last one here, we have stop. So stop is just going to stop whatever audio is being played back from the loop in any of the other pads. So if I start the first loop trig in pad number 1, click stop, and it stops. Play the chunk trigs, and they stop. Also, one other area to be aware of is up top you have polyphonic or monophonic. So these are just as they say. So if we have polyphonic shows, then I will play this loop trig. Everything will play back at once. But if we then choose monophonic, whenever I choose each pad, the one that I select next will silence the previous one. So they won't play all at once. Now let's move on to some of the parameters here. So I want to get a snare to be triggered, I think. There we go. So just know this first one here is going to let you know which slice is highlighted. So you can, the orange, highlight is one way, but if you want to know which individual slice, you can it's numbered there. The trig, we already know what that is for setting up your slices. Pitch, you can adjust the pitch. So while we have our triggered slice selected, just drag up. You could drag down. And this moves pretty quickly, but if you'd like to make finer adjustments, just hold down Shift, and it will be a more precise control. And then again, you can control click to return that back to its default value. And the level is you're just adjusting the level of that particular slice. So all of these parameters are going to adjust each slice. They don't make changes to anything else. So I'll control click and then reverse. That's before. If we tick reverse, and those are the parameters. Now moving on below here, also one other thing, you can use this wheel to move your selection or drag up and down in that area. Now moving on to the envelope type, this just sets the AMP envelope to gate or ADSR. You can choose. There's gate, and that's ADSR. While we're in ADSR mode, the attack just sets the attack time, and this can be velocity controlled. So let's see. So if I move the attack time back, you can see how that's adjusted. And this is a very short sample, so it's not really the best example, but now if you want to adjust the attack time by velocity, you can just use that knob. So as we talked about in previous videos, the velocity on each pad, this starts at 4 and it goes up to 127. So the lower you click, the lower the velocity. The higher you click, the higher the velocity. So then as we move up, this should then adjust the attack time. Okay, and let's turn this back the other way. And I'll control click to take these back to the normal. And decay, just adjust the decay, and you've got the same velocity control. And this can also, you can use your mod wheel. Sustain is sustain. Release, you've got the velocity and mod controls here. And pitch, this is a global parameter, so this will adjust the pitch for all of the slices. As we worked in here, this adjusts for individual slices. This will control everything. So if I change this pad 1 to loop trig, I'll just change the pitch. See, that's going to alter every slice. And of course, this can be controlled with velocity. And I'm going to change that back to slice trig, actually, because we don't want to have that keep playing back as I trigger this. And if we go in the opposite direction, okay, and I'll control click to get that back. And level is level. You can adjust, the level can be adjusted by velocity as well. So just turning that knob and moving up and down the velocity will change the level, as we've just shown with some of these other ones. So I think that wraps up the part 5 Nurse Rex. I hope you found some useful information here and feel a bit more comfortable with using it. See you in the last and final video on Kong, when we talk about the audio routing and cabling in the back here.